Hey, we're Rolling Bones. This is Dash.
And this is Dunn. Today we're going to continue our Frostgrave series. And we're going to go through a few things. We're going to go through some of the optional rules as well as some of the campaign play. So
All right. Go ahead.
The first optional rule we're going to hit on is the critical hits rule. I'm not going to read through the whole rule, but basically in combat, whether it's shooting or hand-to-hand, if one of the players rolls a natural 20, they automatically deal damage, no matter whether the opponent's roll is higher or not, or their cumulative score after they add their bonuses is higher. A natural 20 always hits and always does double damage. So then we have
Wounded. So wounded is whenever you get down to 4 hit points or less. You have some problems happening with your statistics. There we go, I can see it now. You have a -2 to all your die rolls.
action.
Oh, you can only take 1 action, that's right.
Undead, constructs, demons, things like that are unaffected by this.
Yes. Yes, so it's not something that's going to happen all the time. If you have a creature that starts at 4 health, for instance, it's not going to start the game wounded, but the second it takes a single point of damage or more, if it's still in the game, it will be wounded at that point.
Then we have, this is for campaign play, Transcendence. And do you want to talk about Transcendence?
Yeah, Transcendence is really, it's a way to end your campaigns. There are different ways to end the campaign. I like this rule because it's a good reason for your wizard to be braving the dangers of Frostgrave. It's why you're there. Transcendence is pretty much what it sounds like. It means your wizard has found a way onto another plane of existence that is above the mortal plane, and it would be a good reason for any magic practitioner to be there. So I don't know if we should get into the rules.
I think a little bit, just explain a little bit of how to gain Transcendence. You have to have all 8 of your school spells.
Yes, so if you are, say, a thaumaturge, you'd need all 8 spells from the thaumaturge school. Then you'd need to find another grimoire belonging to that school. You can't buy it and you can't make it. So those are both things you can do in the campaign, is buy and make grimoires. You can't do that in this case. You have to find it. Then you can trade in that grimoire from one of your school spells, and you'll get the grimoire for Transcendence. You then have to learn the spell and then successfully cast it, which you can only try to do once per game.
Then another one is the random encounter rule, and if you guys agree on this one, which these are rules that we want to do in our campaign, but every time a loot token or a treasure token is picked up for the first time in a game, you roll a d20, a 20-sided die, and on a roll of 16 or higher, there is a random encounter, so some random beast.
There's a table to roll on, which is fun.
Some of the things that you can end up running into are skeletons, zombies, ghouls, bears,
vampires, demons,
snow trolls, werewolves.
Yeah.
There's plenty of things out there to get harassed by.
Yes.
And some of these will come in the game normally anyway, but this just adds a little bit more lethality and fun to the game.
Yeah, and the challenge to this, though, is you're going to want miniatures for this to happen. That means putting together a significant collection of miniatures to represent these models. So if you don't really want to collect all these models, you can, instead of rolling on the table, just choose something from your collection that would be fun to play with. So, I mean, don't hold yourself to too many rules too strictly. What you're trying to do is have fun, and always keep that in mind.
And another thing to remember there with the models and the things, this game, again, you can use whatever you have. I was talking to someone about it the other day, and We were talking about how you could use chess pieces or other game tokens to represent models if you don't have models for this game. Another thing that is a cheap way to do it, it requires a little bit of work, but it's probably the cheapest way to have pieces that look like what they are, and they're printing out small pictures of things and putting them on bases and using those as papercraft models. I know Jeremy from Black Magic Craft, that's when he was first started his channel, that's what most of his DM or Dungeons and Dragons stuff was papercraft.
Well, that reminds me, if you don't want to make it, you can actually buy really good products like this. One of my favorite companies for making this is Paizo. They sell bestiary collections, so they have large books. I mean, if any of you are familiar with Paizo, they make the Pathfinder role-playing game, which is in its second edition now, and they have pawns, cardboard pawns for most of their bestiaries. And what that means is if you don't want to make this, if you don't want to buy miniatures and don't want to paint, you can go buy these little cardboard standees, and they come with little bases that you fit them right into. It's really plug and play, and it'll cost you maybe, I think, anywhere from $30 to $50 depending on the collection you buy, but shouldn't have to break the bank too much for a really large collection.
And again, you can print them out yourself on a printer and do it. Find pictures, whatever pictures you want for your stuff. So don't feel like, oh, I have to buy models, I have to do this. If that's not what you're into, find another way to do it. And if the game's interesting or sounds fun, try it through other things. There's ways to play this game without having to spend the money or the time to do things yourself.
Oh yeah, you can go the budget route really easily and still enjoy the game quite a bit.
It's one of the things that I really appreciate about some of these Osprey games specifically that we've gotten into, that they don't require a lot of stuff to have. You can find ways around it.
Yeah, like we mentioned in a video before, you can buy the Frostgrave sponsored models from North Star Miniatures, which are great miniatures, by the way, but there's no requirement to do it to play the game on the campaigns.
So during the campaign, there's a good chance that your warband, your soldiers in your warband will die.
Even your wizard. And
there's a chance that your wizards and stuff can die. So in campaign play, when you're reduced to 0 health in the game, any model that you have, then they refer to the injury and death.
Yes.
The soldiers, you roll a d20, and on a 1 to 4, the soldier's been killed. So that's not fun. 5 to 8, they're badly wounded, but they can't participate in the next.
Yep, they miss a game.
And then any other result, they recover quickly. So not a lot with soldiers to actually deal with what happens. They either die, they miss a game, or they're fine.
Yes.
Wizards are a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, the table for the wizards, you're not as likely to die, but that is an option on a roll of 1 to 2. 3 to 4 is a permanent injury, and there's a table you'll roll on for that. We won't cover that too much.
But then each one of the things on that table, they suffer a different thing to their stats or to what they can do.
Yep. 5 to 6 is badly wounded, which I believe is just like the soldiers badly wounded. You miss your next game. 7 to 8 is a close call, and the close call.
No major injury, but they lose all of the items that they were carrying.
Oh,
that's not fun.
Got to purchase new weapons and new potions or whatever. Then there's the full recovery, which is just like the soldiers. You are back in the next game with no negative effects.
And that's 9 to 20. So that's the most likely outcome. These other things are less likely to happen. Yep. As you're playing through the game, you gain experience.
This is how you get stronger and work towards Transcendence. You can't achieve Transcendence without this.
Only your wizards gain experience. Apprentice and soldiers do not, but your apprentice goes up with your wizard each time your wizard kind of moves up. And just different things that you can spend experience that you collect in the game. And that you get experience for doing different things. So you get 10 experience each time that a spell was successfully cast by the wizard or the apprentice. So you get 40 for each enemy soldier a wizard personally takes out of the game.
So you'll want to keep track of this, by the way, during your game. That way
if you're playing the campaign, you need to track this stuff.
Grab a piece of paper and write it down.
Plus 80 for each enemy apprentice the wizard personally takes out of the game. Plus 150 for each enemy wizard the wizard personally takes out of the game. And plus 50 for each treasure recovered by the wizard or any member of his warband.
Yep. So every 100 experience you can trade in for a level.
So as you improve in level, like he said, by spending experience.
You choose something to do. You can improve a stat. And there are maximums for each stat as well.
You can improve spells. You can learn new spells. Then there's a table here for counting treasure once you get it off the board. There's also some rules in the scenarios that can make a difference on how the treasure tokens work and what you get. But basically, you roll a d20 on this table for each treasure token you get off the table, and then you may find a grimoire. So like 13 through 20 actually gives you a grimoire with some gold. Magic items, magic weapons, scrolls, potions. There's lists in the book for different grimoires, different scrolls, different potions, magic weapons and armor, magic items, and the book has how those all work. We're not going to go into the details of those.
By the way, you can make magic weapons and armor through your spells. So if you're an enchanter, that is something you can do.
But remember, your warband has classes of what they can carry. So you can't give a dagger to a barbarian or a two-handed sword to a thief. They have to. So if you find a magic two-handed sword and you don't have someone who can use that, then you've got to hold on to that until you do, or sell it, or whatever. You can spend your treasure by buying new soldiers. You can hire a new apprentice. You can, if you lose your wizard, you can buy a new wizard. Buy grimoires, magical items. Another fun mechanic in the game that I'm looking forward to in our campaign is establishing a base.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me too.
I was talking to someone about doing this randomly. Is that us talking about that?
Yeah, I think so. There's 8 different locations in the main book.
And there's 8-sided dice out there if you're not familiar, or you can figure out how to do it yourself if you don't have an 8-sided die. But and some of the things that they do, so some of the locations are an inn, and this increases your warband to 11 instead of 10. So normally you can have your apprentice and your wizard and 8 other soldiers if you can afford it. This lets you have 9 other soldiers instead of 8.
You've got a temple you can go into. You want to go through all these? Or
no, just touch on a few.
I'm personally looking at the brewery. That's where I think my pirates would want to hang out. So I don't even know what it does. The brewery. Still some life left in those old casks. Okay, that's good. Warband takes full advantage. All soldiers in the warband cost 5 gold coins or gold crowns less because, hey, they want to come and hang out at the brewery and drink free.
And you can sell your stuff for an additional 10.
Yeah, I can sell the stores after every game for 10 gold crowns.
So that brings you in some money. I don't know which one I would do. Maybe the laboratory. Mostly standing residence of a wizard from long ago. It is filled with notes and experiments. A wizard gains 20 experience points after each game from what he learns in the house. So I like that one. Just 20 experience points every game you play.
Yeah. 5 games gives you a free level. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and then you can also improve your base with resources, which a kennel lets you keep an additional warhound. Carrier pigeons, you hire soldiers for less. Just different things that cost different amount of points to add to your base, but
Well, my witch would want a giant cauldron because if with your brew potion spell, don't know why that's so hard for me to say. It gives you a bonus to casting that spell outside of the game, so
yeah,
that's actually a good thing.
So that's our
Campaign and optional rules in a nutshell.
okay. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.